Fieldstripping the SIG 550 and 750 series. In this particular case we're talking of a 751 SB short barreled version, which will not make any difference to the concept overall. To remove the lower, we have those push pins. Push the bolt back up out of here, and we do the same by pulling the pin out here in the front. So we can remove the lower from the upper. The next step would be removing the charging handle. Pulling the charging handle out will separate the bolt carrier group from the recoil spring in the gas tube up here. We can slide it back out. As you can see, the unit is built from two individual pieces, like this. Next step is removing the handguards. By moving the lower handguard part backwards, we can separate those pieces like this. The upper one usually has to be moved a little bit backwards to be accessible. And now we have the functioning parts on top laid out. By turning the gas block, we can remove it. And as you can see, partially the recoil spring and piston have already come out also. Pull the recoil spring and the piston out of the gas tube. And then with this bolt, which holds the gas tube in place, I can unlock it and then turn it sideways to remove the gas tube. So this is the typical disassembly which one would do for field stripping the gun. For short explanation, if we have the bolt group carrier here, as you can see, the charging handle slides in right here and functions at the same time to fixate the piston together with the bolt group carrier. And so by building up pressure in the front, it will move spring buffered the whole bolt group carrier backwards and will cycle the gun. Then here we have the gas tube. As you can see, gas tube is vented in various places, and as you can see here, there are 3 holes. Those holes are corresponding with the holes of the adjuster block, which I can select in between the various modes that I have. To speak of the various modes, maybe you can see, maybe you don't. Here in front is imprinted on this side 1.7, 1.9, and if you go to the other side, there's an X and there's a 1.2. The X stands for no gas back pressure, which would make the gun turn into basically a bolt gun. And you have a 1.2, 1.7, 1.9 to adjust the gas volume, which is put on the gun to cycle, depending on whether you work suppressed, regular, or if it is has been already used a lot, and so it needs a little bit more back pressure to cycle. So the gas block adjuster basically sits in the gas tube here in the front, and then depending on which setting you have it, will open the different ports to adjust the gas amount that is required. The gas which travels from the barrel through here, through the regulator, basically ends up in those 2 positions. So here at the bottom and here in the front, the assumption would be that the gas pressure will be directed into this cavity, which then acts upon the front hole. And since the front hole will be resting inside of this cap, it will push the rod basically backwards to cycle the gun. And then if it has cycled sufficiently far back, obviously the spring will act upon in the opposite direction, and through the vent holes of the gas tube will go with a new bullet to complete the cycle. To build the gun back up together, we start with the gas tube, which we can insert here in the front. By shoving it in and turning it 90 degrees, the bolt will set in. Here obviously the spring is directional, with the nose of the handle, of the charging handle, interacting upon here. So this side has to point down. You slide the spring from the front in. Often it's very easy to adjust with the finger so that the groove is at the bottom. By pushing gently against the spring, we can feel where there's resistance. And then obviously we put back in the gas block adjuster. Also that one only fits in one direction. And by adjusting the lever here. So the indicator is on this side. So currently it's set to X. Now it will be on 1.2. And then if we flip the gas block over 180 degrees, then we can select between 1.9 and 1.7, which would be regular use. Having the spring back in allows us to install the belt to carry it back in again. We slide it forward, and then we insert the handle for recharging to lock the whole system back up again. Then we take the upper hand guard, slide it back in here, and now comes basically the only a little bit flimsy part of assembling the gun, which is inserting the lower aluminum hand guard, which is sometimes easier, sometimes harder, and the lower part fixates itself through that hole, which is the front of those two bolts. So by pushing in the bolt in the front and by pushing the back bolt, we have basically finally reassembled the gun. Check for cycling, works properly. The end. Thank you very much for your attention. If you liked what I produced, I would be grateful for a thumbs up, and if you're inclined to do so, would be grateful for a subscription of yours. Comment below. Have a nice day.